Ready to kick it?
Let's go.
All right. Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is another episode of Live253 talking about nutrition. My co-host, as always, is this gentleman right here, Dan the Iron Eater. What's going on, man?
Living the dream, man, one day at a time.
Every Saturday, living the dream, Live253 style. We already talked about it. Today is going to be nutrition because, as you guys well know, a huge part of what my channel and my community and then Dan and his group of people also believe in is nutrition is king. It's in the description of this video. It's king when it comes to fitness, general life, health, and wellness. You see it around a lot. The illnesses abound in today's society. And as the decline of proper nutrition seems to be, I wouldn't say plentiful, but it comes down to more convenient is the lesser nutritionally valued and nutritionally like surplus items. This convenience sort of breeds a lot of improper nutrition in today's society. So what we're going to be talking about today is nutrition in all of its facets, how we like to think of nutrition in our both lifestyle and fitness game as well. And then talk about what people sort of neglect in nutrition, what things get lumped out of nutrition that clicked with it would make it that much more effective. And just like the first video, nutrition as a word is going to get absolutely murdered today. Our apologies in advance. But we're going to talk about what we do on a daily basis to make sure that nutrition is best. And I'm going to start off by listing the top 4 big categories when it comes to nutrition. We'll go back and forth between Dan and myself on what our takes are, being as broad as possible, because with specificity, if we're not actually doing these diets, we're not experts. We just talk about what we see in general by the people who surround us and the opinions of these people, and try to make it a little bit more realistic because people got questions out there. So the first one we're going to talk about is the paleo diet. I'll let you jump in first. What do you think of the paleo diet?
I think it's good. I think it's what works. Pretty much fundamental. I always think of the paleo as just pretty much sticking to your meat, your eggs, and your starches. It's pretty simple. Throw some vegetables in there, call it good.
You could almost equate it to like old world eating.
Yeah, like I think of like, Vikings, nomads, Indians.
Exactly.
Vikings again.
Vikings 2 times. But it comes down to old school. I mean, obviously back then they didn't have the processed garbage. It was fresh baked breads, like local butchered meats, things that aren't really in a lot of people's diets. And you almost get a weird look when you go in the grocery store and you grab the like the farm raised grass fed beef. Like people look at you like you're, I wouldn't say superior to them, but they kind of give you a little bit of a scoff.
Yeah, you get judged by what's in your shopping cart. Let's face it, we all do it. One of my favorite things to do, pastimes, go through Costco and look at what people are buying.
For sure. Because you notice the guy who's going into Costco, and I mean, Dan's the token man himself. He'll walk by and he'll have 4 bags of chicken. I mean, 10 dozen, 20 dozen eggs. And vegetables, and what looks to be the largest like bulk economy plus thing of rice possible, and just that, and maybe like 1 or 2 little extra additives, but not a lot of BS, I'd imagine.
Yeah, no, it's the only thing you're really forgetting is probably peanut butter and Brussels sprouts. That's about what I eat all day, every day.
And that's the thing is that within that paleo diet, it's really easy to get lumped into making things complicated, and people love complexity because it gives you an out. The more complicated you could possibly make a diet, when it fails and blows up in your face, well, the diet was just too damn hard. And you see that a lot, big time, especially in the gym.
Well, you'll see one of the things you'll hear, especially with grass-fed ground beef, or if you get free-range organic chicken. Exactly where I'm going. People, it's too expensive to eat that.
Exactly.
And I say that it's too expensive to not.
That's a huge thing of it, because if you look at the sort of the stuff they grind in-house, like just standard ground, even if it's turkey or beef, doesn't really matter, or the really nice like grass-fed, maybe like antibiotic-free stuff, it's about double. But what a lot of people think about, and Dan was like spot on, is people will see that price tag and that gives them an out right away. Oh, I just can't afford to eat healthy. And then in the same token, you start to look in their cart and they've got like Hostess cupcakes and all these like random bullshit and
empty calories.
And
they're going to eat more of it because they're not getting any density in their nutrition.
So then the cost efficiency, and what it really comes down to in a good financial term that I like to use with a lot of stuff, is return of investment. Mm-hmm. Like if you're putting this good money into eating a healthy, well-rounded paleo diet, It's very easy to do. And I like it. You could almost equate that me and you both eat paleo style. Not that I would say is my nutrition is paleo, but it's very heavily correlated with paleo.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of standard for, you know, people once they get to a certain level. If they want to be, if they're a hard gainer and they want to put on muscle or whatnot, it's pretty much the only thing that works is lots of protein, lots of carbs. So at the end of the day, it's pretty much paleo.
Yep. And for my rookies out there, being a hard gainer, that's my neck of the woods. I mean, actually speaking, that's both of our neck of the woods. Coming from the very small, meaning exactly what it sounds like. You're a hard gainer. You can't meet that. So you got to be on this huge caloric surplus, or at least a caloric surplus, and you got to really try to slow down that metabolism with these dense carbohydrates and with these high quality proteins like grass-fed. Not to say there's anything bad with standard run-of-the-mill butchery like produce and meats and goods, but it's one of those things like you're going to pay for what you get, and the cleaner you can make it is only going to make it that much more successful. One that a lot of people are hugely invested, people spending like thousands of dollars into like books and education on, is the keto diet. Are you familiar at all with the keto diet?
Yeah, it's also known as the war on carbs. High fat, high protein. Ketosis, I know that it has something to do with the ketones in the blood level. There's ways to measure that. I'm pretty sure they can do kind of like you would do the insulin. You prick your finger and you can measure it that way to make sure that your ketones are low enough so that your metabolism is basically just burning the fat, essentially, and using healthy fats to basically operate for energy.
Yep. So the huge thing, and not getting into the science by any measure, is ketosis is your body's level of, exactly like how Dan said, going to attack after those proteins and those fats. Because the thing you feed your body the most is going to be its main fuel source. Yeah. And if you're giving it healthy fats and healthy proteins, when you are deficient of those, it's going to go to the nearest source of fuel. And a lot of people pick keto because they have that surplus of body fat. And if your body is used to running these fats, it's going to pull from that next level, that storage of body fat, to enact that energy source, which is the main driving factor to it. And the only issue I have with that is, and you'll kind of see it with bodybuilding, is unless you're trying to really lean out for a competition prep, you're not going to do well as a hard gainer or someone who's trying to put on mass. Let's say you're out from a show and you're doing keto. It's just not a very applicable diet for bodybuilding. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, definitely. I think you hit it right on the nail head. From most of the competitors that I've talked to, coaches, trainers, there's only a certain point that you do ketosis. Other than that, it's I wouldn't consider it an optimal way to live inside the gym. Yeah, inside fitness, anyways.
It has its avenues. You'll see a lot of CrossFit athletes that are big into keto, and a lot of like leaner athletes into keto, because they can maintain their goal, at least within fitness, is to maintain that proper leanness, so they don't have to worry about potential muscle loss because they're already lean, mean, and their training style of CrossFit works really well with it. My caveat, and the only issue I have with keto, is, again, it's very complicated, and you could break it like that.
You know, I'm gonna say my only issue with it is I like carbs. I enjoy carbs, whether it's rice or if it's a cheat day and I get to go eat fries. Like, I don't, whatever it is, like, at the end of the day, carbs taste good.
Is it merely an issue of that they taste good, or is it that you notice that it gives you better endurance in the gym, a better pump versus fats and proteins?
Certain carbs they perform certain activities. I eat gummy bears post-workout, get the insulin spike, you know. I like to eat a lot of white rice, just straight up jasmine rice before I work out. I feel that it does increase the pump. Have you ever worked out on an empty stomach or just a protein shake or something? You know, you're in a time crunch and you're like, hell, I'll just smash a shake. You go to the gym, boom, like you feel kind of flat, like you get the pump, you feel it in your muscle. But compare that to eating 2 cups of rice before you work out.
And it drops off very quickly.
Very quickly.
I mean, I've done the whole, I wouldn't necessarily classify it as fasted training, but I did that for a long time, because when you wake up in the morning, it's really hard to eat two scoops of oatmeal and a bagel or something derivative of that. and then go to the gym on top of your pre-workout, on top of your like amino acids. You're full and you kind of feel like it weighs you down a little bit. And then you kind of take that in the gym and you don't feel like it's giving you a good workout. But at the same time, you really lose that strength and endurance and that pump for being carved up and ready.
Yeah, and I know this is kind of a little bit off topic of speaking directly on ketosis, but as far as training goes, I definitely want fast-acting carbs. So I wouldn't eat something like an oatmeal or grits pre-workout. I work out better that way. It works for me. But again, kind of to stretch back to the keto is like a good majority of my diet is based around carbs.
Exactly, which means you got to basically uproot everything you're doing to kind of bend to this diet. And clicking back into it, it's very easy to break. Let's say you're doing really well for a week. You're in that prime ketosis spot. You're seeing the energy in the gym. You will see a return. The nice thing about keto and the good plus positive about it is that ketones are a very clean, very sustainable energy source for the body. And they're very smooth, which is great. You don't see a lot of spikes. The wave motion of a ketone is very, very linear, unlike a sugar spike or a big carbohydrate spike where you kind of see that initial rise and then in a pretty, not I would say subsequent fall, but a very quick fall. Ketones are very, very consistent and linear, and they break like that. Let's say we all have dark moments and a little bit of trouble sometimes, and you go for the donut, you go for your cheat meal, and it's got carbs in it. You just blew apart that ketosis. Yep. And you got to start that huge grind back over. And if the human body has taught us anything, the second you give it something it wants and then you take it away, it doesn't feel good. It's nicotine is what it is.
So yeah, if I was actually going to switch to a diet and I was going to say, whatever my goal-based diet would be, but I could just pick a diet to eat, it would probably be keto. I could eat steak, chicken, and eggs all day long.
Yep. It's got a lot of facets, and there's going to be a lot of commonalities between these diets. There's always, you want the hybrid of all of them, but you can't. It'd be nice to be able to have the smoothness of ketones, but still have the carbs of paleo and kind of get the pluses and minuses of some of these, but you just can't. Because if you do that, you kill the keto. And if you're trying to do some of these, maybe you avoid some of the other ones. But the one that's going to work is the most well-rounded and consistent one. And jumping to the next one is vegan training. And especially with YouTube, it's really big right now to see a lot of these fitness athletes, tongue-tied, jump into veganism because now more than ever, it's exceedingly easy to be a vegan. I mean, 5 years ago, it was damn near impossible. You were super linchpinned on what you can do. And the growth of like vegan proteins and vegan supplements and things that cater to it are huge. Do you have any like experience with like people in your circle being vegans or? But it was a loaded question. You don't see.
I plead the fifth.
Yeah, right. You don't see a lot of bodybuilders being vegans.
So, vegans, the diet itself,
outside the cultural ramifications,
right? I think that maybe to get a process going in a diet, like if you're really struggling to eat, maybe I do know people that can't eat like bone-in meats. They can't eat T-bones. They can't eat bone-in thighs, half breasts, anything like that. Like it has to, if they're going to eat meat, it has to be completely detached from the bone. It's a psychological thing.
Yep.
Some people I'm sure out there don't want to eat meat, whether it's for an emotional attachment to an animal or maybe it literally makes them feel ill. I don't know. Mm-hmm. If it's what helps you get going towards your goal, I'm not against it. But I'm pretty sure this is a topic that's been touched on many times, and there's no real evidence to support that diet in favor of another diet. Like you will always be, you will be deficient if you stick to any one diet so whole.
Exactly.
If we said paleo or ketosis, like you're only eating steak and ketosis, right? Like that's all you're doing is eating steak. If that's the case, you're going to be deficient in plenty of vitamins and minerals.
Yep.
Like, yes, it's dense, but you still need spinach. You still need, and the same goes for vegans. I'm not a fan. Josh, I am not a fan.
And it takes a few people who happen to be vegan, and the same reason to be people who are paleo, to kind of ruin it for a lot of people, either in the way they act or the way they present themselves. But aside from that kind of stuff, as a diet in general, and you kind of touched on it too, is there's a weakness, an inherent weakness with every single diet. There's going to be a lacking of something, and you're going to have to kind of fill in the gaps of each one. So it kind of comes down to which one you could best apply. I got nothing against like the vegan diet itself. People portray it in a really abrasive way when they talk to people, or when a vegan suggests that you should be vegan.
We're not even talking about the diet
at this point. No, it's like just short little stabs. But it comes down to, it's a really hard diet to stick to. Again, like the overarching thing with all these is they're really easy to break, because they add a really restrictive linchpin to how you operate. And I think the only people who can successfully do, like my sister's been like a quasi-vegetarian meets quasi-vegan, and the only way you could reliably sustain that diet is to have a tangible connection with like animals, or it's a morality issue where you actually have to be very tangibly connected to why you're doing it. And again, it comes down to the last week's video of, you got to have a why. If it's just to try something new and use it as a dietary like addition to your tool belt, you might not stick to it because it's pretty dang restrictive. But if it's the reason that you love animals and you can't see the suffering of other things, more than likely you're probably going to stick to it, because that's a very, very
powerful why.
Exactly. That's a very powerful why. Thanks for jumping in there when I got tongue tied. But it comes down to it, and it's something that's very, very difficult, but still out there. And when in doubt with all of these, if you try it and it doesn't work, it's not going to be the reason why you didn't hit your goals. So
let me ask you this, just in the vegan diet alone, like you kind of have a rough idea of what your macros are. Like, I'm not a big macro guy.
Yep.
Touched on this episode 1. I work with Dustin. He tells me what to eat.
Yep.
So rough in macros, like how do you think that you could sustainably eat enough vegetables or enough nuts to be able to carry as much mass as you do, and continue to grow at that? Because I don't doubt that it wouldn't be sustainable to lean out on.
Yep.
Overall, just general health, maybe you needed to stray away from McDonald's, so you went hardcore vegan. Like, I completely understand that. But as you're about 5'9", 5'10".
Yeah.
So you're 205. Like, okay, how much do you literally think that you would have to eat to be able to maintain, if not grow? I know that you're not a vegan. So.
Yeah, with just sheer volume of things trying to get to like protein totals and carbohydrate totals would be very difficult. But just to be able to continually be in that caloric surplus, I try to get 5,000 a day. It doesn't happen that much, but I'm always aiming for it. It's just really hard to do as a vegan. But you see it all the time. And there's vegan athletes out there,
but it's hard to do. But we're hard gainers.
So
now you're talking about metabolisms on top of nutrition.
Yeah, you're gonna, luckily, like I said, like kind of in the intro of it, it's a lot more available than it used to be.
Agreed.
And now they have vegan proteins and vegan supplements and things that could help you negate being that heavy gainer. But for the most part, you got to be either easily open to having 7 or 8 meals a day, or you got to be open to having 4 huge vegan meals a day. And you see these people and they do really well. There's a lot of vegan successful athletes out there, but they're fitness athletes. They're not in an office. They're not grinding it out on a auto assembly floor, and they're like, "Hey, foreman, I gotta take my break real quick and go
take
eat
my half-hour break to eat grass."
Exactly.
Well,
it's not grass,
but yeah, I know. I'm talking shit.
If it could be done, you got to have a lot of open availability to make those numbers, and it's going to be a much more uphill climb, but a doable climb. People do it. It's not impossible. And you could look up easily right now, YouTube, vegan bodybuilders. Are they the biggest? No. Are they going to win against some of these other guys? No. But they're still a bodybuilder. And anyone who's improving their physique and growing muscle and transforming and gaining that confidence in the weight room, you're a bodybuilder. And to be able to do it, it's definitely possible. One thing Go ahead. As I cut you off.
A little bit. I just want to say that I think if you, because I did bring up the metabolism, if you go ahead and you take an endomorph, okay, and I mean, I don't know if you want to describe that. It's somebody who basically it's easy for them to hold fat and it's hard for them to lose it. If you took somebody like that and you put them on to like a vegan or a keto diet, I would imagine that they could probably produce results out of that, because again, it would be much easier to be in a deficit. I agree with what you're saying as far as there are people that look great that are hardcore vegan. And I'm not just so anti it. It's just, I just don't understand, from people that are eating 4, 5, 6,000 calories, how do you create not only a fuel source, but a surplus? It's hard for me to imagine eating, 15 pounds of almonds. I mean, I know I'm being extreme about it, but the reality is, if you're looking at vegetables, nuts, I don't know, soys, like how am I going to be able to create a surplus off of such lean food? It is dense. Spinach is like one of the most dense foods on the face of this earth. Yeah. So it's not to take away from the nutritional quality of like to knock it down. I just don't, as a bodybuilder, I've gotten into, some Instagram arguments with people because I said, name one pro athlete who's vegan. Go ahead and name a lineman in the NFL, name a professional bodybuilder. I'm not talking about volleyball players. I'm not talking about, endurance athletes.
Those are mass athletes though. It kind of comes down to how you quantify an athlete. You just said like, can't be a volleyball player, it can't be a sprinter, or it can't be someone that they're an athlete, they're just leaner. It's like a mass athlete, you're kind of linchpinned into not being able to be a vegan. It won't be conducive. You could, but you're going to be a small NFL linebacker. You might still be there, but you're not going to be a key player. And this is really open to you guys too. If you are a vegan and you're doing well, drop a comment right now. Give us some feedback. Tell us what you do, because it's the same reason we're not subject matter experts at this. We're talking broad generalities based off what we see and the people we interact with either on social media or within our circles. And it's a very, very small community of people who are vegans, but also fitness people, but also bodybuilders and sort of these mass athletes. And if you're doing well and you're a hard gainer and it's working for you, drop a suggestion. Be like, hey, maybe you guys should check out this. We like to see an input on what you guys think about this protein, because there is vegan proteins out there, and that could potentially help. But we need a little bit of help too. So drop something in the suggestion in the comment section below on how it could be. And the last topic of the diet we're going to talk about, and this is the stuff that like triggers me, is the fad diets. FADE, fad diets. The cleanses, the intermittent fasting, the quasi-vegan bacon connoisseur,
paleo presbyterian.
Yeah, you're like, isn't that a religion? Why? Well, actually, I'm an atheist vegan. You're like, I don't understand. But there's again, people love to sort of compartmentalize this impossible thing that they like to be the one person who can do it. And if they can, that's awesome. Yeah. But they tout it on Instagram and they tout it on like Twitter and like, oh, join this diet. We've got huge results off of it. And it's so damn constrictive that it blows up and people blame fitness and bodybuilding for the lack of results instead of these awful diets.
So I don't know how much experience you actually have of like just interacting with people, but one of the things that usually comes up is people talk training. They look at you and you got a set of shoulders on you, walk around, and all of a sudden, like, people want to talk the gym with you, and then you end up talking nutrition.
Oh, always.
And, it's kind of weight loss people. There's a lot of people that just want to lose weight and they want to be healthy, whether they're 30 or they're 50, which is awesome. I'm all for it. Back to the diet, though, they always tell me, like, I'm on this new cleanse, like I'm only eating 3 times a day. And what I don't understand is, why are we not optimizing the metabolism? Like, why are we not creating an environment that's more efficient instead of just putting you into such a negative deficit that, you're going to lose weight, but the rebound effect from that, which is what you see happen a lot.
And it's not clean weight loss.
No, it's just basically water weight. I preach metabolism.
Yep.
I mean, nutrition and metabolism go hand in hand.
I think people, especially with the 3 meals a day, that's old school. That falls back into the teachings of people's parents' parents, where they tell you, hey, you need to get 3 square meals a day and keep them healthy. And that kind of translates to these new ones where you're drinking 3 cleanse shakes a day.
Yep.
And it gets very patterned, very habitualized in this way. And cleanses are the thing that gets me all the time. And it's one thing that these companies love to do. Because if you have a company and this shake is supposed to help you lose 10 to 15 pounds in a week, and it's made by some obscure company, the crazier it sounds, and the company you've never heard of making a shake of an amalgamous powder that's supposed to help you lose 15 pounds, sounds scary enough. And most of the time, what it does is it helps you lose weight quickly because you're counting bathroom towels for 4 days, losing the water weight, getting rid of the glycogen, and getting rid of maybe some of the matter that's in your intestines. And that helps you initially lose weight. Does it make you healthier? It could probably get rid of some of the toxins, but no one's been able to like completely show a collegiate study where this sort of cleanse makes up for those deficiencies.
I don't even feel like there's been a long-term cleanse. You see them, they come and go. Yep. And that, hence the name fad diet, but it's that's just it. You hear about it for 3, 5, maybe 7 years. If there's a long running one, please inform me. I just haven't heard of anything. I'm not going to say it, but there's obviously the tea that's out there on the market. That
does it help you get fit?
Possibly. But the reality is it's not optimizing the metabolism. Again, there will be a rebound effect.
Yep. It's a short-term solution for a long-term problem.
Correct. Because you're not addressing health. You're not addressing nutrition. All you're doing is something to temporarily make you feel good. It's like when they do the wraps.
Yeah, they do the seaweed wraps and stuff.
And it pulls the sub-Q water right off you, and people feel great, and their waist looks smaller because it pulls the sub-Q water. But what happens 2 weeks from now is you're going to have all that water back and then a little more because your body is built to survive.
Yep. Not even that long. The second you go home and you crack open an Aquafina, it's slowly starting to build that right back up.
I think that a lot of that would also be back just attributed to, I did my wrap. I lost 3 inches on my waist. Now I'm going to go to McDonald's.
I was literally about to touch on that. It comes up to the whole treat yourself, where people lose a little bit and they start to see a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel. They see some inches in weight loss. And then people do the inevitable thing where it's like, oh, well, you got to have a cheat meal, or it's my reward. Oh. Well, your reward's getting to your goals, getting to this healthier place. And that cheat meal, even if it's something very small, it creates that little seed in the back of your mind that it's really easy to fall back on. And you see this all the time with people who do really well, and they're like, hey, you're losing it. And then one thing, and they call it falling off the bandwagon for a reason, because once you're off, that thing's going full ahead, and you got to run to catch up to that thing. And that's a struggle. And a lot of people don't like the struggle. It
may be the most difficult task to be consistent with the diet and then fall off. Like you said, you tell yourself, hey, nobody's going to know. Hey, I deserve this. Not a big deal. You go eat something. You go to McDonald's, Red Robin. I don't care. But you eat something that is not conducive for growth or loss, whatever it may be. Then to turn around and not have anybody hold you accountable for that, it's killer, because it's not like everybody's me and has somebody to go to where I have to do a weekly check-in, and then it's like, hey man, eat your meals. I can tell you're not eating your meals,
Yeah.
It's impossible. It feels impossible to really, once you screw up, to be able to take that step and be like, you know what, I screwed up. I'm going to start tomorrow. It's like, no. Don't start with that tomorrow. And then it'll be next Monday, because everybody starts a diet on a Monday. And then Monday comes around and you had a beer at night and you just say, you want to know what? I'll just start next week.
Yep. Every time.
It's really just when you realize I screwed up, course correction. It's the same reason you would apologize if you unintentionally offended somebody.
Yep.
It's something that you're just like, oh, my bad. I didn't realize how that sounded. it's the same thing with nutrition. Like you're just like, you know what? I shouldn't have ate that. Okay, now I'm going to go home and I'm going to get back on chicken and rice.
Or even kind of make up for it in the gym. And it kind of comes back, like you said, you wouldn't wait a week and then go apologize to that person. Be like, hey, so a week ago, I made a dumb comment. They're probably going to be pissed. And that damage is potentially irreparably unfixable.
It's spread already.
Yeah, it's too late. They've already labeled you as whatever you maybe potentially said that was bad. And I think that definitely leads into it. I don't know if this is a question from this video or another video, but someone said, is it possible to be a gamer and a bodybuilder? So,
oh man,
of course, no.
Yeah.
To be like a full, I mean, if you look at people who do actual gaming on YouTube, not like playing Mario Kart like we do or playing Fortnite every once in a while, a professional gamer and to be a bodybuilder, it comes down to, can you do anything and be something? It's your priority. You lean into it. If you're sitting at your desk playing 6 hours of video games, you got a fridge at your house. You got shakes. You got all this kind of stuff that's near you. And if you want to be something, you lean forward, you give it the priority, it'll be there. Especially to being a gamer, your audience isn't going to care. At least I would imagine. The people I watch on gaming, like they take breaks, they're eating all the time. Like half the time they get killed because they're eating like,
oh yeah, like
Fu Young noodles, and they're like, damn, I died.
So Twitch is a great thing. And
yep.
I will say I started watching Bajira. I was a World of Warcraft player when I first started lifting. So but yeah, go ahead. Hate all
how do you unfriend on Facebook?
So I actually, this guy, he was a great WoW player, and he is also a bodybuilder. I recommend that you would check him out. He's pretty solid. He's probably your build, probably about your size roughly, and the guy's one of the best. Well, was one of the best World of Warcraft players. Like I said, I think there's nothing wrong with it. You can definitely do it. It just comes down to, you know, setting your timer for every 2.5 hours to make sure you're eating.
Luckily, you're at home and you can. And if you can't and you're somewhere else, maybe you're at like a recording studio or offsite at somewhere, meal prep bags. That's the big thing is, I mean, you carry your 6-pack backpack and I have the exact same one because I'm a copycat. I mean, you carry preps with you. I carry 3 preps with me at work, knowing full well I'll probably not be able to eat 3 of them. But on the off chance I get one, I got it and I can eat it.
Well, even then, I mean, it's the stunt I like to pull is whenever I don't have, if I'm missing a meal or, you know, somebody says, hey, like, you want me to go grab you food? I'm like, yeah, chicken teriyaki, no sauce. That's my greatest stunt. It's what I do to be able to eat chicken and rice still.
The best of a worst option kind of thing.
Exactly.
So now we talked about the top 4 diets: paleo, keto, vegan, fad diets, cleanses and stuff like that. The only thing we really didn't touch on too much was like fasted anything, like fasted training, fasted cardio. And I don't think there's even that much to even talk about, like performance wise or physique changing. And if it actually breaks into causing fat immobilization to enact energy, there's so little in the way of people who actually have done collegiate studies on it. I think it's one of those things like if you want to do it, do it. And if it doesn't promote process or performance enhancement in the gym, then just switch it.
I agree with everything you said, except on one part is I think fasted cardio. I don't do fasted cardio. I do HIIT cardio. But yeah. I will say I believe fasted cardio works. I know that there's not a lot of science behind it compared to HIIT. But I will say it's a great way, maybe not necessarily to burn fat, but to really get you going for the day. So, I mean, not necessarily on a nutritional level, but a focus level.
Is it, in like your opinion, because since you have it's always at the end of a workout, right? Or is it we talking before?
Fasted cardio, it's like first thing in the morning.
First thing in the morning. So you got no glycogen storages going on.
Mm-hmm.
You got nothing in your stomach, maybe a little bit of water and maybe some like aminos, which technically break the fast. That's a big thing people forget about is aminos are energy and they can break it. So maybe outside of that, the thought behind it is if you don't have any fuel source, it's going to go to a fuel source. So like your body fat. That's a lot of people say that. They haven't done studies that show it. I actually do agree. Like that's if it does work, you lose some body fat. If it doesn't, no harm, no foul.
I personally think that it's easier to do fasted cardio, and that's the only reason I'm sticking up for it is it's easier from a focus level to get up in the morning, go to the gym, even just go outside, do some fasted cardio, and then you turn around and you come back and you eat. So it's like, it's a more of a focus thing, in my opinion. Like I said, I don't know any of the science behind it necessarily to say I have this source to cite, but you know, I think that it's more of a focus thing. If you start it, you get going, you're already starting your day out on that kind of a level. So you go exactly. Yeah. So you're on the good stride already, and then it's about right into nutrition, and it's like right from the get-go of your day, it's like the first thing you do. It's like first thing I do right now is when I wake up is I literally reach over and drink water.
Yep. Well, that's helping to get your organs hydrated, which is going to enact that metabolism and make it very easy to eat in the morning. I think that was a huge thing of mine. And I fasted. I just didn't eat in the morning or have like a pre-workout meal. And the reason why was for a long time, I couldn't get myself to eat that early in the morning. I mean, 4:30 in the morning, normal people aren't hungry. And the big thing was, and I read it online. Actually, I read it on Pinterest, which sounds very girly. Yeah, now he's going to unfriend me. Pinterest for bodybuilding, and you kind of got to scrub away the stuff with like, it's for girls and it's for like pictures and stuff like that. There's a lot of meal prep stuff, nutrition stuff, tips and tricks. And I randomly was looking at Norwegian tattoos because that's what we do. And like the link from it, and he's stealing all my tattoo ideas, FYI. That'll be a different video.
You're killing me.
I'm gonna blow your whole thing. So one of the things that was randomly linked was that water increases your appetite in the morning and metabolism. And whether or not I believed it, I tried it. It does help. It's huge to be able to eat because it makes you hungry. Maybe on the way that it helps volumize your stomach, and then you dissipate that water really quickly because most of the time you wake up dehydrated. So your body's going to absorb that water very quickly. And now that volume's gone, and now you're hungry and you got to sort of enact that volume again. But either way.
Well, you and I both are advocates for water. You know, we're the annoying guys that carry around the jugs. We always have water with us.
Yep.
So I think hydration would go into the topic of nutrition as well.
Big time.
A lot of people, you know, we're a driven society. We're caffeine driven like crazy. You know,
faster, better, faster.
You know, Red Bulls, Monsters. It doesn't matter if they're sugar free or not. Coffee. I'll just go ahead and get Americano with nothing in it. That's how I drink my coffee, by the way. So
just espresso.
But so it's you know we're so dehydrated that it's you know, that's why the first thing I try to do is hydrate, because I know, you know, you go ahead and you reach over and you drink the 10 ounces that's in your blender bottle. I'm going to go eat breakfast and then I'm going to get a cup of coffee anyways. So instead of like directly forcing all the water out, I like to think that it's doing a little less harm.
Minimally negating it.
A little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. And just speaking like rough numbers, and there's so many studies that go back and forth on this. And I've posted a video about it as well, is to be anywhere from 2% to 3% dehydrated total body weight. Not very hard. I mean, you easily wake up 2% dehydrated. Yeah. In the gym, in health in general, you are anywhere from 5 to 7% less efficient. So that means when you're in the gym and you're curling that 50s, those 50s don't register as a 50-pound dumbbell anymore. They're registering your body as quite heavier.
You can curl 50s?
52 and a half. Freaking, but you start getting higher than that, and that's just bare minimum. So if you wake up 2% and you're pounding 2 Americanos and let's say you work out at night, you've eaten hopefully well-balanced 4 times a day. You've drinking the coffee, you've sat at the work, even underneath these lights. Like I'm thirsty right now, and it's been 30 minutes. So it's one of those things like you're going 9 hours at work. Maybe you have a really physical job and maybe you're drinking a little bit. By the time you get to the gym, if you're 5% dehydrated, studies have shown that cuts your muscle efficiency by 30%. That is huge. You want to talk like negative return of investment? That means just being in the gym is going negatively against your health.
Well, that's a new stat to me. 30. If you told me that I was losing 30% by drinking 2 Americanos a day, then I mean,
it's a big number, but it's quantifiable.
I get what you're saying, and wow. I mean, if you told somebody they were going to do something, but today they have to do it at 30% less efficiency. Imagine what your job is if you came in and you had 30% less resources, like how much more difficult that would make your job.
Or 30% more work.
Yeah. Either way.
And I think a lot of people, even still, like we'll be telling people this and be like, hey, you need to do it. You're killing your muscles. And people are like, so I don't curl as much. But a lot of times you have to bring it into something that resonates home. Imagining if I tell you you got paid at the end of the month and I took 30% of it, guaranteed people wouldn't accept that 30% diminishment.
Oh, not at all. I'm going to fight for every last bit of that.
People are going to do that. And it's the same thing where people will stand to rise and be like, this is unacceptable, until it kind of comes down to the theme of like nutrition and health and wellness. And they're like, hey, it's okay. Like, what am I trying to do? So, I mean, you just have to be able to understand that just water, the very simplest thing, is a huge facet. So to be dehydrated, and that's why I definitely count nutrition as part of, or I definitely count water as part of nutrition, because I mean, even with the food, even with the supplements we take, if you don't have proper water saturation in your body, they're useless. Yeah, try to absorb carbohydrates when you're completely dehydrated. Useless.
I know that most people aren't on the bodybuilding train. Yep. And I'm aware of that. But there's people with aches and pains. There's people who are just, they want to lose a couple pounds, or there's a wide variety of ailments that could be fixed with just basic fundamental nutrition. It doesn't matter really what diet you follow. Let's just stick to water, clean eating, and really just trying to find a good energy balance off your food.
Oh yeah. Even as like a society, we're a Band-Aid society. You got a bullet wound, put a Band-Aid on it. If the reason why you have type 2 diabetes is because your diet's awful, here, take some metformin.
Metformin has actually, they've done studies to prove to you that proper nutrition and with just basically diet and exercise is more effective than metformin. Yep. There are studies to back that up. That's not just some false claim that I'm making. Yep. There are studies to prove that metformin is not as effective as diet and exercise. But yeah, like you said, here you go. Here's some metformin.
It's 2 pills and a glass of water.
Because it's so much easier, but it's so much less rewarding. Like it doesn't matter if you're just riding your bike around the block and you're 60 years old. Like literally, you will have a sense of accomplishment. You will feel better. You will get the serotonin release, or there's so many attributes that we're missing, because even though we're not talking about it, and their depression's another part of diet, like hugely. These things are fixable with diet.
Everything. I mean, nutrition is the thing that's keeping that locomotion moving. Your body's just a thing of carbon links and chemicals. And to be out of balance on one, you would expect that same correlation within chemicals in your brain. And not to say that, like, if you do have a disease or an illness, that nutrition and exercise isn't going to be the saving grace, but it's damn near going to make it better. And I have clients who have done exceedingly well, who are full-blown type 2 diabetes, on the edge where their doctors are saying, like, we need to do something. You're going to die. Yeah. And that's a really big wake-up call, a hit on the chin, and they completely turn their life around. And you said it like bang on, where it comes down to a satisfaction of it, where anyone can say they took 2 pills and lost 10 pounds. But to be able to say, hey, even if they go 3 days a week, I'm 4 days a week grinder. I take this on the side. I'm eating healthier. I'm doing better. My type 2 diabetes is in remission. My blood sugar and A1C is in like at the all-time low. I did this. And it comes down to like, hey, I did this versus, oh, well, this is what I do because my doctor told me to do it. And you see the huge satisfaction it brings to be able to, you beat the disease, you beat the illness, not a modern like science miracle helped you lose it.
So think about it like this. You ever walked into an office, or, I mean, we both used to work retail, so you know what this is like. You walk into the break room and it's Employee Appreciation Day, and there's donuts and cookies, and it takes a lot of discipline to say no to that. But I think for a lot of it, it's also a social point for people. It's a sticking point to, you're eating a cookie and I walk in and I'm like, hey, I'm gonna eat some cookies too, and we can do exactly, and we can stand in BS. It's a great conversation starter per se. Like it's easy to kind of fit in instead of being the one that says, I don't eat that. I do that at work, and people pick on me for it a little bit
all the time.
It's all fun and games, haha. Like it doesn't bother me. But like, I'm just so goal oriented that I think to myself every single time I do that, it's a step back. We can fix a lot of these problems. Like legitimately, diet and exercise can fix a lot of problems, and there are people that don't have those problems yet, and they're on the way to having these problems, but they don't realize it because for them, it's more important to be able to stand and BS with my buddy Josh over some cookies and donuts than it is to stop and think to myself like, hey, I got kids and a family to support. Am I going to be able to take care of this? Well, I see my grandkids and they go, well, it's just one donut. But that's like saying I'm going to start my diet on Monday because that next Monday comes and you drank that beer or you ate that donut and guess what? It's the next Monday and it's the next Monday and it's always later. Like take fucking action.
It comes down to they haven't seen their why yet. And that's a big thing is like they haven't got hit in the face and they haven't got the sit down in the doctor's office going like this might not work. Well, you might not walk out this door the next time I see you. And they haven't got that slap of reality left. And a lot of it comes down, and you said it perfectly too. Again, it's like eating healthy and training all the time, not even training all the time, just trying to make these conscious efforts to do better. It puts you on the fringe of society. You're on the outside bubble going like, oh my God, look at that guy. Is he eating a meal prep in the break room? And I've had that happen all the time where, I mean, people are eating like their rotisserie chickens in the break room. I've seen people eat whole rotisserie chickens. I mean, so have you, but you're seen as the weirdo, as backwards as that sounds for like eating healthy and being this like atypical person. People kind of look at you and they go like, oh my God, why are they eating a meal prep? Like we sell stuff here. And it's mind-blowingly backwards. You know,
and a lot of people think this is just about vanity.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, I say I do this for vanity because I do. Hands down, I want to look good. That's yeah, but it's the truth. I'll admit it. I want to look good. Yep. I mean, I do care how I look. But it's also about how people look at me, you know, and I want to be a monster, so I'm all right with it. But for a lot of people, they don't want to be socially rejected.
Being accepted is huge.
And you know, when it comes down to it, like you said, you pull your meal prep out and you put it in the microwave and everybody's like, God, it smells like chicken in here. And it's like, but there's somebody else eating a whole rotisserie chicken, but yet you're the culprit of the reason it smells like chicken.
And I think, I mean, that's a huge reason why I even started this channel and started the social media avenues is because the more you can kind of change one, and you could kind of see it. I mean, as everyone knows, like January is the time when everyone starts to change. And for a brief moment, you see a lot of people like bring healthier things in and you kind of have that same cohesion, but different. Now it's that people are trying to eat cleaner for albeit a small amount of time. Now they're clicking because Susan's eating healthy and now Frank's eating healthy. And they're all talking about like what kind of diets they do. And then the vegan walks in. I'm just kidding. And then
the atheist.
But they bond after it, and then you see it every damn time. One will fall off, and then they're on the fringe, and then one will fall off, and now that 3 or 4 people on the fringe,
it's like a domino effect.
Yeah, now they create their own sect, and now Susan, the only one who stayed true to it, now she's on the outside while everyone else is on the inside. And the whole thing behind this is to try to again, you said vanity too, is to try to convince people and scrub their minds of these like negative connotations with like eating healthy and diets and fitness. And it's not, a large part of it is to look good, but that's also very tangibly connected with being accepted. So a lot of it is trying to switch the ideal from like, hey, if you do eat well and you are a fitness person, to kind of change one mind to change him. And it creates the inverse of the domino effect where you create more inclusion of these people.
But it's about balance as well. You know, there's nothing wrong with eating the donut, but the problem is that we're, again, you know, caffeine addicted, we're sugar addicted as well. And everybody turns around and sugar tastes good. Let's face it. I love sugar, you know, but I mean, you want to eat that donut in the morning and then it turns into, well, I'll just have cookies, you know, and with my Subway sandwich at lunch. And then dinner comes around and it's like, I'm just going to eat spaghetti, but for dessert, I'm going to have ice cream. And it's like, before you know it, you've eaten 300 grams of sugar and you know, it goes back to diabetes. But point being is
It's the gambler's fallacy.
Exactly. You just can't stop once it's traveling, and then once you jump off, you watch everybody else on the train go by, and you're just kind of standing there by yourself, and you just keep going. You just keep doing it.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's at the end of the day, I feel much better. I have a lot more energy. I complain I'm tired a lot, but that's more from a lack of sleep than it actually is from my nutrition. You know.
Perfect segue into the next thing I want to click into, which is like I count sleep as nutrition, because again, just like that water, without it, it's not going to work. Hell, even without sleep, I don't care if you're a 7-day-a-week grinder. If you're putting in 2 hours a day and you're grinding and you're putting everything into it and you're getting 2 hours, 3 hours of sleep, there's your negative returns right there. There'll be an initial spike. You'll get a little bit as your body is like slowly depleting itself. But I mean, you see it all the time. Like I see people who, again, I'm a little bit more purview to it because I train I'm at the gym 7 days a week, but I'm working 5 days a week in a gym. And I see some of these people come in and they're there 4 to 5 days a week and they're putting in an hour, and I could see it. The intensity is there and something's hidden along the surface. I'm like, hey man, like what's up with your nutrition? They could have the most dialed in nutrition, the most dialed in workout routine. And I'm like, there's something hidden. Some numbers aren't clicking somewhere. How much do you sleep? And they're like, oh, well, I stay up to like 2 o'clock and then I got to wake up at like 7 for work. I'm like, even if you fell asleep directly at 2 o'clock, that's 5 hours of sleep. Not good enough. Not good enough. Some people are linchpinned. And I know you're going to say like, as the rise and grind and you're struggling and you're trying to make things, you're trying to get higher in a position, you do kind of get linchpinned into less sleep. But I'm fully confident in the fact you'd agree that sleep is maybe not king, but it's definitely like the prince of proper nutrition and fitness.
Definitely. I personally consider sleep recovery. I don't consider that a nutrition aspect, but I would consider nutrition to be more recovery as well. I know that kind of sounds bizarre and a little backwards, but it's how well do you recover?
You're growing at night.
And so, yeah, it's definitely important. You feel a difference energy wise when you sleep 8-9 hours. I mean, you feel most of the time I want to go back to sleep, but
yeah.
Yeah, we're again a caffeine driven society, and we were talking about half-lives before we were on here, but caffeine's half-life I think is 6 to 8 hours. So
and that's for someone that's maybe minimally involved in it. If you're 7 Americanos in, the half-life stack. It's going to stack.
Well, right there, it's going to increase definitely. It may not be 16 hours on the second one, but it definitely is probably 11 or 12.
Yep.
And I'm a coffee guy in the morning, and then I turn around and before I work out, I take pre-workout,
which has more caffeine in it.
Yeah, but there's a good gap because you figure I'm getting up and drinking coffee at 6 in the morning, and then I'm turning around and I'm taking pre-workout around 4:30, 5 o'clock at night. There's plenty of time for that to dissipate through my system.
Yeah, it's on the tail end of its half-life.
So it's not. I don't have issues falling asleep. It's staying asleep for me.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you see this. I mean, you can buy supplements now, as bad as it sounds in today's society, that interact with the way your eyes perceive blue light.
I was thinking
Have you seen that?
No, but I was thinking blue screens jack us up.
So, like, fluorescent lighting, blue lighting, phone screens are the worst. When I turn this thing on in the middle of the night to check my phone or to check what time it is, this thing's awful. Like, you can see it in the next room. And they actually make supplements now that diminish the way the rods and cones in your eyes perceive blue light. Instead of just merely turning the blue light filter on or secondarily not looking at your phone past nighttime, now, again, a Band-Aid society where instead of just learning better habits of maybe turning the screen brightness down or the filter on, taking an oral supplement to change the chemistry in your eyes to make it perceive blue light less.
I'm not gonna lie, that's kind of dope.
I mean, it sounds very like CSI and very, very cool to be able to be like, how does it change your eyes? But at the same time, it's the Band-Aid. It's a Band-Aid fix.
So it wasn't until I was probably in my mid-20s I met a guy who I was telling him I had issues sleeping, and I worked with him down at the warehouse, and he was like, you're supposed to sleep in a completely dark room. And I've always slept with the TV on since I was a teenager, right? Yep. So it never dawned on me. So I've gotten in the habit of being able to sleep with nothing on. But you're right. the screen's there. Somebody sends you a text at 2 a.m, you know, you get a Facebook notification. I don't care what it is.
Yep.
Your phone lights up and it's like, that wakes me up. Boom. I'm wide awake. And it's now, how do I go back to sleep?
Because you got to check the DMs.
You never know.
You never know. No, but that's fully relevant. And it's one of those things, like, I used to have a TV in my room. I haven't had a TV in my room in probably 7 years because it's there. And if it's there, you're going to want to watch it.
Yep.
And even if it's just the ambient noise and you fall asleep to it, I did the same thing in high school. My mom would be pissed because I'd have the TV like full volume and I'd be like rocket dead asleep. And MTV would be playing because they used to play music on MTV.
How many times have you fallen asleep gaming?
One time. And you fall over and hit your head on the desk and you wake up.
Laying on the keyboard. It happens.
Raw XD. No, but it's something that's huge, and lack of sleep is immensely prevalent. Like, if you look at like functionality of like med school students, and I know especially with your wife being in like nursing school, is she probably gets a lot less sleep than she probably should. And you see like these med school students and they're zombies. And I mean, I got a little bit of a taste of it in the Marine Corps as well. As they try to keep you up. They keep you up for 36 hours to see how tactilely function you are when you're dead ass tired. And it's not very good. And your memory loss, and they'd screw with us all the time. You'd be tired. You'd be sitting in a hole in a mission somewhere doing some, like, even if it's just training, and they'd walk by and they'd kick you. And like, we'd have people screw with us, and you're zoned out because your body needs it.
I would imagine at that point you would even lose things like dexterity.
Oh, fully.
I mean,
you hear things and your sight doesn't work.
Exactly. You'll see things. You'll hear things.
Mm-hmm.
The longest I've ever stayed up, I think, was like 42 hours or something. Oh, yeah. And I can tell you that, I didn't have an issue falling asleep, and I slept for like, I don't know, 16 hours or something. I don't know. I slept for like a day and a half. That's obviously, my math is terrible, but yeah, but you get my point.
Heavy things.
Yeah, heavy things. Everything goes in 45s. But yeah,
it's huge though. And I mean, the best way I've ever heard it said, and I don't remember what motivational speaker was talking, and he wrote a book on like sleep studies and successfulness and people who actually prioritize things. And he said, sleeping is a bank. And the reason why is you're constantly withdrawing. If you're getting less than 8 hours of sleep, you're withdrawing more and more money, which is exactly why when you do get a chance to sleep, you put down for like 14 hours. And the problem is you can't just pay the debt that fast. It screws up what's called your circadian rhythm. Mm-hmm. The way basically humans are meant to live in the woods. Right now, our bodies think we're in the woods and we're doing just really good. So we're doing fine. But the dawn and dusk are when normal like creatures go to sleep. And that is what your internal, when people say like, oh, my internal clock, that's your circadian rhythm. When you start to get tired when it's dark outside, it's a biological action. So when you're staying up till midnight and when you're messing with your phone, all these outside influences are screwing up that circadian rhythm. And then when you're getting less sleep and you're not getting good returns, which means you're not getting good progress in the gym and the gains and all that kind of stuff, your nutrition's lacking. Again, it's those negative returns on investments, or all that time, even if your diet's on par and you're putting it in the gym and you're getting everything. Again, it's that same scenario of me walking up and taking 20% of it and be like, hey, good job. You did a really awesome thing. I'm going to take 20% of it. And that's the kind of thing. If people do that to your money, or if people did that to like your belongings, like, hey, you did a really good job, but I really like that gaming computer, like, I'm gonna go ahead and take that. People will lose their mind. But it's the fact that it's health and wellness. People are kind of a little bit more acceptable to be like, okay, fine.
I plead the fifth.
But we're all guilty. I'm not gonna say like I always get 8 hours of sleep. It's the checks and balances, the at least staying somewhat consistent. On the weekends, if you want to stay up and get like 6 hours of sleep, you'll be fine. You correct for it. If you stay up all weekend and you don't sleep for 72 hours and you go on Monday thinking you're going to be effective in the gym, you won't.
What do you think you get a night? Realistically, like what?
Well, now that I switched.
Okay, so for the past couple nights then.
Now that I switched, I've been getting like 7.5.
And versus you were getting what?
Like 5.5.
And you can feel a difference.
Huge strength increase. And not even that, it's like, again, with as much as that sounds, that circadian rhythm is when you're starting to wake up. So if it's at 4:30 in the morning when I was waking up, your body's just not awake. Your brain's not awake. Your metabolism is still, it's going to take so long to spin back up. Versus working out at night, I could wake up at 8 o'clock. Much more natural wake up time in like biological sense. to be awake, which means your body's going to expect to be at a better rate. You're going to be able to produce things faster. Your like mental acuity and your metabolism is going to spin up a lot faster than it would at 4:30 in the morning.
And that's kind of what I was trying to get out of you there. Is it's like you said, you just mental acuity. Like you don't feel as groggy. You're a zombie on 5 hours of sleep. You can function, but you're a zombie. I don't know how many times, 5 hours of sleep, get up, go to work, and I'm on 167 in traffic, and I'm falling asleep driving home. It's just because you're so dead ass tired. And I'm not going to say I'm the greatest at sleeping either, but I aim to get at least 6 to 7 a night.
So I'd say 6 is the like bare minimum. If you have to do anything you got to do to go to sleep, 6 hours. I'll stop hanging out with family, friends. If I got to like put 2 Tylenol PM in my wife's sherbet to go to sleep and get 6 hours. I mean, like, please don't medicate your wives. But it comes down to it. It's being able to prioritize and go like, hey, it's all good, all well and good. I'm trying to hang out with friends. If it's Sunday night and you're going, I'm going to get 4 hours of sleep, you messed up that priority that it didn't get. And that's fine. But you can't expect to then turn around and be able to make progress that week in the gym. You kind of have to, it's something's got to give.
Agreed. It makes a world of difference. Just take the gym out of the equation and just proper nutrition, good sleep, hydration's added in there. But, being able to recover from day-to-day life alone, it's mandatory. Oh, yeah. And, a lot of times, again, we neglect it. It's a Band-Aid society. Oh, I'm tired. Here's some caffeine. I can't sleep. Here's my Tylenol PM. Yep. We're taught that there's a solution to the problem, but the reality is it's not a solution. It's back to the Band-Aid, and it's back to more problems, and it's a vicious cycle. So to be able to step out of that, maybe just clean up your diet a little bit. If you're only eating 50% clean foods, just try to get it to 75. If you're only sleeping, 5 hours a night, try to get 6.5. Like those little bits for everyday life, your gains, like the quality of life will just be so much better.
Oh yeah. And I mean, one person that I wouldn't say I listened to his speeches and podcasts because he doesn't really do too much of them. Conor McGregor. Love the guy, hate the guy, whatever you got on him. He grew up with the idea of the law of attraction. What you progress forward and what you seek, it seeks you. So if it's one of those things where, like you said, getting 10% more efficiency on your diet, getting an hour more sleep, that hour of sleep will thus allow you to get more rest, maybe complete your job fuller. Maybe then your boss takes notice that you're doing a good job and stops you coming in on Sundays. Then that impacts that. I don't like to say domino effect because that implies that things are going to fall in front of you and you don't really have a lot of control over it. But that law of attraction, bettering yourself, change becomes change. And if you're willing to positively change it, it's only going to also create positive changes, or at least void the negative changes. Like the reason why you got an hour of sleep, maybe you missed out on your buddies getting too drunk and 1 or 2 of them gets arrested. Like those weird things of like causality between changing something here and it results here. The butterfly effect. There's a lot of like weird little correlations you can make there.
And you're not even talking about like the extenuating circumstance or the intangibles, family emergencies. Maybe your cousin's in town for the weekend and you haven't seen him for a year. It's like, go get a burger. Like it's not going to kill you to do it, but it's the difference, back to all of it is at the end of the day, we're rewarding ourselves for everything we did. I tied my shoes today. I get a Red Robin hamburger. Oh, good job. You went to school. Like, these are things that we're required to do. Like, sure, I guess you don't have to wear shoes, but point being is like to function at a certain level, these things are just required. Yep. And everything else you're doing is negating any benefits that you can get from, recovery, from nutrition, from proper hydration. And really, it just limits your potential on who you can be. And, it doesn't matter. My favorite, if you want to be a pea farmer, you're never going to be the best pea farmer in the world when you're half-assing everything else. How you do one thing is how you do everything.
Exactly. And it comes down to, I tell people all the time, ask my clients how many times I've told them that fractions in fitness and life make you or break you. Yep. It's changing a percentage here. It's changing a percentage here. And it comes down to, is one day going to make you? Hell no, one day's not. One day of clean diet won't increase your fat loss. In the same way that skipping one day in the gym won't destroy your progress either. So it comes down to like when your cousin is in town or when your buddy's like bachelor party, things like that, one-offs, one little random things won't make you. So they sure as hell won't break you. It's the day in, day out consistency, hashtag, that's going to make you. And I'm going to like loop in the other video when we have to apologize for saying consistency 5,000 times. But it comes down to it. And you see that is that people worry about that. Oh, I don't want to skip the gym. It's going to ruin your routine. One day is not going to break you. One day won't make you. You could still live a life. And I usually tell people that too. It's because people again have that one gear. They're either full bore launch, drop the shoulder, get it, or they're screw it, I don't want to do it, and they pull off.
It's funny because I kind of think of people in the other way, and when I say people, I think a general population is everybody does the lukewarm water test. You put your toes in to make sure that it's not too cold, and that's kind of how people approach everything. That way, if they don't like it, they can pull out real quick, and they can just be like, "Oh, that wasn't my thing." It's very rare that I actually see somebody that puts in as much effort. Ran into one of the girls at the gym, and I actually had to compliment her because she's a hard worker, and I see her in there frequently. I know you were there. You saw me, talk to her.
Yep.
I think Martha, right? Shout out to Martha because she's a soldier and she puts in work, and that's I had to stop and say that I noticed because nobody ever tells you when they notice. Yep. But I see a lot of people that only come in periodically, or they kind of half-ass things. And then they complain because they don't get results. Oh, yeah.
It's the grinders. Day in, day out. That's the stuff that's going to change you. And it does come down to people only like the really good or the really bad. And it's the people in the middle that never get noticed. And they hate for the lukewarm water test is a very good thing. Because there's two types of people. Someone that dips their foot in and it's too hot and they pull their foot out. Or someone that dips their foot in and it's really hot, but then it cools down very quickly. Being able to stay in that zone of uncomfortability for even just longer than necessary, and the water cools down, and you're exactly fine.
And sometimes you just have to be willing to go out of your own element, and you got to go to new gyms, or you got to, do a different workout. You got to mix it up.
Subtly, what's going in the background of what Dan's saying is he's under the impression I'm an incredibly stubborn person. I don't see it. It's weird. I'm the exact same way. And again, it comes down to we're not perfect. We're not the subject experts. I'll be the first person to be like, I really like the upper lower split. So when Dan suggests that we go to a different gym and do one of his things, it's not so much that I'd say it's scary, but it's like it's outside of my comfort zone. And if I break that comfort, what happens if it doesn't go well? And in my mind, I'm like, well, then I just lost a workout. But then I just told myself one day won't break it, so one day won't make it. And then I skip the gym, and then he screenshots it and like never lets me live it down.
ever,
like literally ever. Or it's the same thing as switching the environment, going to a different gym. If you're not being challenged at Planet Fitness, shocker, you need to go to the training pit, or you need to go to something different, and change the environment to make yourself greater. Or in the same way as if you're in some hardcore gym and you don't feel comfortable being there, that's going to directly affect your workout. That's going to affect what you see yourself as. So maybe you got to change the environment to kind of match where you're at. I would say stick with it and compete with the beast because they'll turn you into beast. But not everyone in that general population kind of works that same way.
Most people don't want to be a beast. Let's face it.
That's true.
But I agree wholeheartedly with you. If you go to a gym and you're uncomfortable, then go check out another gym. Yep. I wouldn't cancel my membership that day, but I would go ahead and try to. Maybe the Y works for you, maybe LA Fitness works for you. And I'm not a fan of those gyms, but that doesn't mean that they're not a good fit for you.
Yeah.
And overall, like the goal is just to get people healthy.
Yep. And I think as we wrap up this live stream, and with pretty much every video we're going to do, it really comes down to what works well for you. If it is paleo, if it is vegan, if it's nutrient timing versus fasted cardio versus anything, 6 hours of sleep versus 8 hours of sleep, all these variables, compile them in a way that works best for you, and you're going to succeed. And you can't apply the same thing you do and apply it to me and expect it to work. In the same way where I love upper lower split. It's the best workout ever. It doesn't work for Dan. The time doesn't work. Being lanky, it just doesn't work. And it's something that if I try to force upon him, it just wouldn't work. So you got to compile your own thing, find what works for you, and really make that success driven after that fact.
Yeah, no doubt. I completely agree with you. It's what works for you. Everybody will tell you that their diet works, or that their training style works, or that you take GNC protein and that's what works. And it's not that it can't work for certain people or it doesn't work, but whatever is going to help you progress as a person. So maybe the environment or the supplements or the nutrition has to change for you really to grab your rhythm. That's all I preach.
For sure. And it comes down to asking questions. If you don't know, ask questions. It's the same reason why you wanted to be the co-host on the show you created that we're doing right now. It's that getting out to people and be like, the same reason why we said if you're vegan out there and you could help us maybe shed a little bit of light and we could be the launch point of this, hell yeah, we want to be a part of that. Ask questions. If you're not a nutrition expert, not to say that we are, but we could at least help or guide you into a way that works with that. So be part of the community, ask the questions, be part of like some of the people who dropped in for today's video and ask the questions. It will only make the show better to get some input. And we enjoy and gladly have you guys here to stop by. Thanking all of everyone in all of our across the social media outforms for being part of this, because it's something we both want to do and get more involved in the community.
And like you've already touched on, it's not that we're experts by any matter on any of this. There's plenty for us to learn. Please, if you're a vegan or you are a dietitian and you can enlighten us on that subject, I would love to. I would love to try to understand the science behind it.
Knowledge is power.
Yeah,
it's one of those things. Being informed is huge.
Yeah. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, so we're going to wrap it up. Thanks again for watching the episode number 3 of Live253. Next week is up for grabs. The topic is always open. Drop a suggestion in the comment section below. Thanks for watching, everybody. Take it easy.